Well, we have been focusing a lot this week on back to school, some different ways that we can get our kids ready for a new school year. Well, this morning we continue our coverage with a checklist of sorts, things to do today to make sure your child is ready for tomorrow. Here with more now is Dr. Tuell, ETSU Health Pediatrician. And Dr. Tuell, great to have you on the show.
Thank you. So good to be here. And back to school is such an exciting time for families, for children, and it's important to make sure that your kids are ready. Part of getting kids ready is getting them back to a sleep schedule that is conducive to school. Summer is wonderful, days are longer, sleep routines kind of go out the window.
They do.
And it's important to start pushing back that timeline that kids are getting to bed earlier and earlier so that they can get used to getting up earlier. So I really recommend pushing bedtime back by about an hour per day.
Okay.
And getting them up earlier each morning by the hour per day. The ultimate goal for school-age children is around 9 to 11 hours of sleep. And if you think about that number, most of our kids are probably sleep deprived.
I would think so, yeah, because if you actually back time that and when they're going to sleep versus a lot of these schools start so early, and by the time you get them fed and ready, I mean, those alarms are going off pretty much as early as the parents' alarm.
Right, and especially with teenagers, as we were discussing earlier, our teens naturally shift their circadian rhythm. They become night owls, and so they like to stay up later and sleep later, and back to school can be a real shock to their system when their alarms are going off at 6 a.m. and they didn't go to bed until midnight or later.
So really that good checklist to make sure their bodies are physically ready for the day, and then also emotionally, which we have seen a lot of, through the pandemic and new schools and anxiety. Children's mental health has become so important.
Absolutely. And it's important as parents to be clued in to what's going on in your children's lives. And so as they get ready to go back to school, talking with them, are you anxious about going back to school? Is there anything that's worrying you? Utilizing open houses, meeting the teachers, getting some dates set up with friends to get back together again, reestablish relationships before the school starts. And then also, I think it brings up the importance of visiting your primary care provider for those annual wellness visits. And at our clinic, we do screening for things like anxiety, for depression. We have integrated behavioral health who can help us care for a child's physical health as well as their mental and behavioral health. And hopefully by addressing these problems early, we avoid that crisis stage where kids are ending up in the ER and having all sorts of mental health crises.
Is that a change that we're seeing now when it comes to that overall wellness visit? Usually we just focus on the physical, or is everything working correctly? But now it's really just as important that we're focusing on how are we doing emotionally.
Absolutely. There is a key linkage between the mind and the body, and for so long we separated this is mental health and this is physical health, but they really are one and the same. And so an important part of those visits with your pediatrician is going to be able to not only address physical health, how is my body working, but also address mental health. And a big part of that is by incorporating screeners into our visits and having integrated behavioral health care providers like psychologists and social workers who can help us further address some of these concerns earlier so that we can prevent future problems.
Taking that team approach, so important. Dr. Tuell, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with us this morning. Best of luck as we send our kids off for a new school year, right?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Hey, if you have questions or concerns, you can find more information by visiting their website, etsuhealth.org. You can also call that number on your screen and one of the pediatricians will be happy to answer your questions. We'll be right back.